What up, what up, what up? Welcome to the Goalink Show. My name is Ben Harris. I am the founder of Goalink, a goal-setting community sharing weekly challenges. These challenges are inspired by brands to bring you new ways to develop and improve yourself. You can kick back and watch me take on these exciting and uncomfortable challenges, or you can join me. I challenge every listener to complete these weekly goals. Catch the content on Instagram or Facebook at Goalink Group. The Goalink Show, this podcast recounts experiences from the achievers of the world, but not just the success. We delve into the challenges and the struggle that we all face. How do we find the will to push through? What role do motivation, discipline, and even failure play in our lives? Let's talk about the process and not just the result. We discuss this and much more in the show. Thanks for tuning in. This week we have my friend Brian on the show. He's the co-owner of Amplified Minds, which is a accountability company that really focuses on masterminds. It's a community of achievers that help you structure your goals and really just knock your goals out of the park. So check him out, Amplified Minds. With Brian specifically, we talk about why his dad made him chop up firewood just to build character so he could get a car. The importance of accountability partners and mastermind groups. We talk about the pillars of his marriage and partnership, the importance of physical activity and working out every morning, and the rest of his routine, which even includes eating fruit snacks, the basics of goal setting, his make it happen mantra, and becoming a multi-millionaire in the future. He has a goal of 100 million, a lifetime goal for his income. That is huge, and that's one thing I respect about him, is his specific financial goals. We talk about how he changed droning church talks to make people love and also dislike them, and why giving up friends, even good ones, is necessary at times. Alrighty guys, let's jump straight into it. Here's the interview with Brian. Alright everyone, welcome to the Goalink Show. We got my man Brian here. Let's just hop straight into it. So Brian, tell us about you. Tell us about the businesses, how you grew up, the businesses that you've owned and sold, and your ventures and your goals. Just essentially give us a rundown so people will get a quick glimpse of who you are.
Great. I love it. Well, first, thanks so much for having me on the show.
You know it, man.
To jump right into it, as far as my childhood, I will say that I did not grow up poor. I did not grow up very rich, but my father did well for himself. With that being said, I don't feel like he ever gave the silver spoon to my mouth. Like anything I wanted. I don't feel like he did that. Others might, but I don't feel like he did, because I saw others that I feel like maybe had that. With that being said, he and my mother, Barry and Jennifer, they really instilled work ethic in me. One little story on that is how I got my first car.
Okay.
So if any of you are from Utah, then you might know of the crazy windstorm that happened. Let's see, dating myself. And when I was 16 years old in 2006 or 2005, there was a really big windstorm, 90-mile-per-hour winds coming out of the canyon, blew down 16, 15 huge trees, like ponderosa pines that blew down. Yeah. And these were all, we have very large trees, they're 40-foot trees, huge trunks. Well, that was right when I was supposed to be getting my car. And my dad said, well, go chop up, let's get some firewood. So after 6 or 7 months after chopping up trees with an axe, by the way, an axe, a wedge, that was it. And a sledgehammer, right? So you have a wedge and a sledgehammer. That was how I got my first car. So I did not pay for a car. I will say it was a nicer car. Once again, it was a BMW M3. It was not a brand new one. Yeah. It was a much older one, but it was still souped up kind of for racing, because I was still that teenager kind of punk.
Dude, that's dope though. So you chopped up wood and sold the firewood.
Oh, good question. Yeah. So it was more so to teach work ethic, to be able to set your eyes on something or your sight on something and go through with it. So he said, once that's chopped, you get a car. So I had to chop all of the wood. Was it sold? It was more so my father already doing well for himself. He gave a lot away to the neighbors that needed it. So he gave it away, but it was more so to instill the work ethic.
How many trees did you chop up?
I don't know. I lost count, but I know that I built 2 massive forts that we played a lot of paintball and airsoft because they were so big. I mean, they were easily, like a size of a house, 2 of them. It was a lot. So it was really fun.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And what is the business that you own right now?
It is called Amplified Minds. That's plural with an S at the end. So Amplified Minds is an accountability company. We specifically work with coaches, mentors, speakers, influencers, those types of individuals that are out there that are really making an impact on this world, that have programs that they're selling, that have packages, that have products. We are the ones that are on the back end fulfilling, making sure that you are accomplishing your goals. Like we all know, when you're young and your mom says to be able to make the bed, you kind of just go, ugh. But then you have a friend coming over and you want to make your bed. So that friend, without him really knowing, he was your accountability partner, making sure that he was getting you to do something. When you get older, you need people like that are great business friends, friends that are just normal business friends in your spiritual life. If it's church, you need someone holding you accountable. Unless you're that godly like person that can hold yourself 100% accountable. If you're out there, find me, please. Find Ben, find us. But you need someone to be able to hold you accountable to get more accomplished more than you could by yourself. That's what we do.
Okay, that's dope. And what's been, in your opinion, one of the coolest transformations or just experiences that you've seen of someone come in and the transformation that they've made just being held accountable?
A lot of stories to choose from. One that would probably be the most specific would be when we worked with individuals, without saying his name just for privacy purpose, but we worked with a coach. He teaches on confidence.
Okay.
He teaches on
like
how
online?
To be more confident. Yeah. So
is
it's
it like
online.
A webinar or something like that?
Yeah. So he has PDFs that he's created. He has books, audio recordings, and then what we do on the back end with Amplified Minds, we provided accountability via text and also via mastermind groups online, so through Zoom platform, and we would hold everyone accountable. But there were a couple gentlemen and also some women that were having some massive goals that they were trying to hit within the sales organization of selling knives or out there in the insurance industry. But they all 10x'd, about 5x or 10x'd their goals of what they wanted to sell, simply because they had someone holding them accountable, that they did not feel like they were being micromanaged. Because there's a very big difference between micromanagement and accountability. Accountability is someone that you respect, that you want to be able to hold you accountable because you know you need more out of yourself and someone else can pull that out of you. Micromanagement, if you've ever been in a job and you know that someone's breathing over your shoulder, it doesn't feel good. Sure, it might get some results, not the most, might get some, but it doesn't feel good. And who cares about accountability if it doesn't feel good on the back end?
Yeah, that's cool. So what's the time frame for them 5 or 10xing their goal?
That was over the course of a 3-month program that we worked with them.
So like, did you set they came in with a goal and they said, no, we're going to 5 or 10x it?
Great question. So how we work it with Amplified Minds, we never want to set the goal for the individual. Why? Is because you can't judge anyone as far as what they can accomplish. Only the individual can help themselves accomplish that amount. Now you can sure push them forward, but how we go about it is, we said, what are your challenges? What's like the number one thing that's holding you back? That's a question that normally is not asked. It's what do you need? Something that like you're looking for, but not what is the challenge that's holding you back. So that's how we start off our mastermind groups, is what's the challenge? And with all the other individuals, the facilitator that's making sure the meeting is going correctly, we dig down into that challenge, not to overcome it right then and there. That doesn't happen. Happens over time. But we come up with ideas that they can implement while they're away from the mastermind group that simply can change their mindset, can change actions, can change a lot of different things. But we focused on the challenge, and that's how they overcame which for them it was the mindset.
Okay, I love it. And for all the listeners, or even if you're new, I'm a freak about like weekly, daily, just goals in general, accountability. So Brian, who's your accountability partner?
Great. I have multiple in different facets of my life. One in business, no doubt, my business partner, Matt Fritchie. We hold each other accountable on just outside of a friendship level. When we have different things that we need to be doing, we hold each other accountable, because it's very easy when you're doing a lot of different things in your life to just get sidetracked. In the spiritual life, I have other people that are part of my religion that hold me accountable for things that we are trying to do. Obviously,
and do you like check in weekly, like every Sunday?
Well, outside of going to church every single Sunday, we text each other while we're away from church to be able to make sure that we're doing the things that we said while we were at church. Okay. But my biggest accountability partner in life, in this mortal life, would hands down be my wife. Shayla, and if you're listening, I love you. She helps me with a lot of stuff because what I don't have in myself is one of the main reasons why I married her, and she holds me accountable to that.
Okay, so while we're on that topic, I really admire this part of you and your relationship with your wife, and it's not common, and I hope you know that's a good thing. That your relationship of holding each other accountable and really pushing each other to achieve more is really cool. So
thank you.
Like, how did you, like, when you guys were first dating, like, did you give her a warning, like, hey, I'm a freak for, like, I'm an achiever, watch out? Or, like, how did that first come up, like, in your relationship?
Great question. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that before. How I would probably put it was the type of person I am today is not at all who I was back in the day. During high school, if there's any gamers listening to this, I used to be very big into, you know, Gears of War and Halo and Call of Duty and all of that, which there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I still applaud those people
make lots of money on
I still applaud the people that can just kill it online and make all that money. I wanted to be able to take my life in a little bit of a different route due to my father doing well with his own company. That was one of the things that got me in this direction going. But my wife, so when we first met, I was an achiever. I was not an overachiever like I feel like I am now, and I hope I can always continue that. But I told her before we married, no doubt, when we were talking about marriage, if she's okay to be able to not be liked by everybody. And what I mean by that is I don't ever want to offend someone intentionally, but I really want to be able to make sure that I'm putting my point across as strongly as I possibly can, and she knows my point in this life is to be able to help people achieve more. And I know that that's a very broad spectrum, but how we're doing that currently is through Amplified Minds and holding people accountable. So it was a slow transition with her, and it's still every single day a struggle. If anybody's married, you know that it's a struggle, but it's also the best gift that I've ever had.
That's awesome. So what are the few pillars in your relationship when you're looking for a life partner? What are those few pillars that you set before you even
no doubt, the first and foremost, with me being a religious person, I wanted someone that I felt like was more spiritual than myself. And what I mean by that is I never have felt like I'm going to fall away from the religion that I am a part of, but I never wanted to be able to imagine if I would possibly fall away from it. So I was looking for someone that, you know, some people say, oh, they have a great spirit. Well, that was one thing that I was no doubt looking for her, and she had an incredible spirit, and she was 10 times more spiritual than I was. I think because she has patience. I'm not a very patient person. I'm trying to be better at that. So that was one of the pillars. Another one was physical. I don't think anyone should ever marry someone that they're not attracted to. So that
probably
hands
not.
down was someone that I found very attractive. But the real backbone behind the physicality is, if you've ever heard The Rock, what his rock, pun intended with that one, his foundation is on what he builds. Dwayne Johnson, on how he roots himself every single day. It is the gym. Same thing for Mark Wahlberg and some other people that you might hear their story. That is 100% hands down the exact same thing for both me and my wife. So that's one thing that we do have in common, because there are things that we don't have in common. But physicality, aka working out at the gym, biking, swimming, whatever it may be, it doesn't have to be the gym. Something that we root ourselves each morning with. So we wake up at 5 in the morning. We'll get to the morning routine later, but I really wanted to be able to find someone that would agree with me on staying in shape, because that's something that, once again, going back to religion, I believe that our bodies are temples, and I want to be able to take care of them well.
Yeah, and going back to The Rock, dude, he, like, you've seen like some of his posts about going to China. He gets there at 3 a.m. and
he is a beast.
And the first thing he does, he has to go to the gym because it just like gets him in the right mindset.
Doesn't even matter the time zone. He is just a machine. So I look up to him.
It does help that, he has a traveling gym and he can go anywhere he wants and just have a gym there.
But still, even with that, there's no excuses if not. I mean, you can always do push-ups and sit-ups, things like that. Yeah, you might be shaking your head at home saying those suck, which I'm kind of there with you. I'm not a big fan of just doing that home workout, but there's no excuse for not saying you can't do something physical.
Yeah, that's true. So since you brought it up, let's just talk about it. The morning routine. So you wake up at 5. How long have you been doing this?
I don't know. I would say less than 2 years probably.
Okay.
But with that, I have always been, I feel like, more of a night person. And this is actually one thing that I have an opinion on. When people say I'm more of a night person, I'm more of a morning person, I think that's usually just what they decide that they want to be.
Yeah.
Because you can change yourself. You can 100% change your habits or attitudes. It might take time, but I feel like I have been more of a night person. Now I feel like I am more of a morning person. Maybe being married has changed something of that, where we want to go to bed earlier. No, we don't even have kids yet, so I know that'll change more when we do have kids. But our morning routine starts at 5 a.m. every single morning. We both wake up. Luckily, my wife and I have jobs that allow us to be able to wake up at the same time. So we both wake up at 5 o'clock. We get ready in the morning. I mean, I have a very set routine. I have almost the exact same amount of oatmeal every single morning. I have a half a banana. I have my multivitamins. I have 1 cup of water. I sometimes have a pre-workout if I'm feeling really lethargic that morning. I also have 1 pack of, what are they called? Fruit snacks. I have a pack of fruit snacks. So that's
Are they normal fruit snacks?
No, these are super fruit snacks. They're just the normal
super fruit snacks.
What are they? Anyway, they're the forest. There's something dark forest or like black forest gummy bears.
Oh,
I can't remember what they're. It's something forest.
Interesting.
But those every single morning, and then when I get to the gym, I have a little bit of water once again to be able to make sure to hydrate. So that's my routine every single morning. I mean, it's hands down almost identical every single morning how I wake up, to make sure that I have myself on a routine, because if not, that is why I think most people are not morning people, is they don't have a routine. I mean, am I tired every single morning? Yes. Is The Rock tired? I bet he's tired every morning, but with his routine, he can kick his physiology, spirituality, emotionality, all that into gear by having a routine.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, you mentioned about like people just decide that. So that happened to me last year. So I'd always tell myself that I sucked, like at waking up early.
Yeah.
But Brian, I wasn't a morning or an evening person. I'd be the friend of first. I'd fall asleep watching a movie always.
Yeah.
And then I would like wake up like 7:30, 8, go to work. Then go to school, like go to college, come back and fall asleep. I was still going to work and going to school. But then I went to Europe, and my clock was thrown off, and I was naturally waking up earlier, like 4:35.
Sure.
And I've never gone back, just because it's weird when you start looking forward to waking up.
That is so true. I think when people hear me say that I'm like excited to be able to wake up and go to the gym at 5. You ask me as a teenager, I think you're ludicrous. Yeah. That's crazy. But you asked me how long I've been doing this. I've been on and off for 5-6 years by doing this at 5 in the morning, maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock. But ever since I told myself, I think The Rock had an impact on me. Dwayne Johnson, that is, had an impact on me, because we all know how successful he is.
Yeah.
We all know how driven he is, how much he's accomplished.
Well, he's been through a lot too, man.
He's been through tons.
It's not just like, hey, dude, you're super successful.
Yeah. He started from nowhere, and he is now where he is. And so having a routine from every single book, I love to read every single day. Audiobooks, reading, in paper, whatever that may be. Reading has hands down told me, wake up early if you want to be successful. Is that something you have to do? No. I mean, there's rules, or sorry, there's what am I supposed to say? There's what am I trying to say? It's more like a guideline. I mean, just according to most books, if you want to be successful, most successful people wake up early. Are there people that wake up late? Oh yeah, totally fine. Yeah. I just want to stack as many things as possible in my favor that I've seen other successful people do.
Yeah, which I would agree that most uber successful people wake up before anyone.
Yes.
So you mentioned books. How often do you read a book? Like, how often do you finish a book?
It depends on my method of studying, because there are times that I love to research. I think that's very enjoyable for me. I've taught myself some speed reading techniques, not as much as my business partner and other people that we know that can plow through a book in an hour and a half.
That's insane.
I like to go into the details. I like to go into the story. I like to kind of get enveloped in the book. So 1 a week is fair to say, whether that be audio, whether that be just reading.
That's still great. 1 a week is still, when comparison to some people, it's not even 1 a year. 1 a week is fantastic, so props.
I used to hate reading. Yeah. And thank you. I used to hate reading until you guys might know the book. It's called The Secret. It's quite the classic one, and I think that might be a lot of people's books, but that was the first one that opened my eyes to, let's not read. Now, as much as I love Lord of the Rings, hands down best movie out there, but as much as I like to read that stuff, or Mistborn, or I'm just throwing out other books that people might know, like Twilight, Harry Potter, things like that. There's a time and a place for that. I think you have to have your creative side, but I got hooked on business books because of the education behind it, where I had real life applications.
Okay, that's dope. And since we're on this topic of just like, first, for real, like, I'm happy that I met you, and I want to admit that as soon as I met you, that you made me up my game. Like, as far as my mindset, like, you read a book a week, or even like your specific financial goals. And I think that's really important. And just because, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, Yeah. And so, like, I just wanted to tell you, like, I had that feeling, and it's a good thing, I think. Obviously, I mean, I would agree, it's a good thing that you want to surround yourself with people that are better than you in, certain ways, even like in a relationship with your wife, so you can complement each other. Do you have, like, since you have like an accountability company, what are some just basic or just things that are just true, like, tips for goal setting if you don't do it, and even if it scares you? Because I've even read some things about how goal setting is bad, and the reason why it's bad is because, say, okay, in 2019 I want to lose 10 pounds by March, and then if you only lose 9, you're like, damn, I lost 9, I suck. You don't look at the progress that you made. So, I think that can be coached, and I think that is a good thing that you've lost 9 instead of 10. But what are some just mainstay, all, like, those truisms for goal
setting 101 in Brian's terms? This would go back a little bit to the physicality of what I was looking for in a wife, and now that we wake up at 5 and we have a routine being the main word. Just the other day, I was at a family event where a brother-in-law asked me, hey, I'm getting it. It's the New Year's. If you're listening to this somewhat right now, it's in January that we're recording this. So a lot of people have the New Year's resolutions, and they just said, Brian, Shay, which is my wife, you guys have a lot of fitness tips. You guys have done shows. You do that kind of stuff. What would be the one tip? And this goes back to goals as a whole to answer that question. I said, if you just allow yourself to say, I'm going to work out 5 times a week, that's great. But without setting a time, especially for working out, especially for goals, and that's where you have to be able to set a deadline. So if it's a goal, setting a deadline. If it's working out, setting, a time that day. But I said having a single time during the day, and now we're taking this to generic goals, obviously, having a time that you're going to do blank, and that's where accountability comes hands down. I think goal setting is accountability 101. And once again, there's not a single person that has 100% accountability in this world, but there are freaks out there that no doubt can do incredible things by themselves. So one being holding yourself accountable to the goal that you set, and the reason behind it is the most important. Having the why behind why you want to accomplish something. Working out for me is not to look good, even though that is 100% a byproduct, and I very much appreciate it. But it is, I want to be around for my family when they're older. I want to have, once again, kind of going back to that stacking of habits, I want to stack as many things as possible in my books when it comes to health, whether that be cardiovascular, whether that be anaerobic, something that's going to push me to the limit to be able to live as long as possible, but actually still be coherent. I don't want to be a vegetable.
Yeah. Well, and just enjoy it. Like, it just feels good. Like, you have more energy.
So to answer that, accountability and having a why behind it. The next one, I know people say a goal not written, or however the saying goes, a goal not written down isn't a goal. It's just a dream, or it's just a vision. More so than that, in my opinion, than writing it down, is telling someone that you respect, that cares about your success. I think is much more vital than writing it down. That is, if the person, it goes back to accountability, but that's how I've seen it be successful for all of our clients and for myself. Telling someone that that will hold you accountable to that goal, and if you don't accomplish it, you're not letting yourself down, you're letting them down, you're letting anybody else that you've told. So tell as many people as possible. I don't care what platform you use. I don't care if it's text to your friends, Facebook, Instagram, anything of that sort. Tell as many people as possible, because the more people you tell, the higher likelihood is that you're going to accomplish it.
Yeah, and I agree. And then one thing to even watch out for when that happens, I think we see this in social media. People announce something,
yes,
and they get a false sense of accomplishment,
yes,
because you announce it and you get that feeling, you get that dopamine rush,
instant gratification of likes and all that,
and you're like, sweet, I already you feel gratified because you announced it, but no, you still got to do the work, man.
Yep.
Yeah,
nothing beats hard work.
So with let's jump into your like financial goals, because this is another thing that I feel like I'm still working on, like my relationship with money.
Mm-hmm.
And so what are your like specific financial goals for this year or few years? Just let us know what they are.
Sure. This is one thing that I just got in a little quarrel with one of my friends, is how much to make, when to make, why you want to make it. I'll take this back to when I was 26 and a half, and this might have been a question you would have been asking later.
Yeah.
But when I was 26 and a half, or it was just, let's just call it 26 and a half right in there. Amplified Minds had already started.
Mm-hmm.
We were growing. We didn't have a complete sense of direction of where we were going. But I saw my father being successful. I saw my father-in-law being successful, both of them being entrepreneurs. I saw anyone that I looked up to that was wealthy, that I respected. That, once again, they have to be a humble, good person. I don't, the whole rich person that's just a snob, to each their own.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the type of person I want to interact with.
Right.
But I saw all the people that I had seen that were financial, that were very successful. They all did it through entrepreneurship. They did it through risking, because you can't play it safe and get to the multi-millionaire status that you hope for quick. I mean, you can get there at 75, 80. Compound interest will get you there, but I want to be young and I want to experience life younger. So as far as those goals, when I was 26, if you ever run into me, you will look at my phone until I am the age 31 and a half. And on my background, it says, make it happen. So that's kind of a mantra to my entire life.
Yeah.
It's simple, black, just says, make it happen in white. And that is, I set that, and I told myself that I would not change my screensaver for 5 years. Sorry, not screensaver, my background for 5 years, period, until I got to the status of multimillionaire. Is there a number attached to that specifically? No. It was more so wealthy to be able to enjoy life as I want, but to be able to help as many people as I want. This goes back to my why of money. There are multiple facets, but the underlying factor is, in my opinion, the only single way that you can possibly help someone is with time or money. You can, if you're religious, you can pray for them. That goes back to time. If you want to be able to help someone be able to get a house, that goes back to money. Or relationships, which goes back to time. So time and money are the only way that you can help people out, in my opinion. And most people in this world don't have either.
Yeah.
Little alone one. So if you are rich that have multiple streams of passive income or active income that you work a little bit at, you now have the time, you now have the money to be able to help people out. So I set my mind at 26. This is, a little bit after I had read the book, The Secret, which I said was one of that really switched my mindset, that if I want to help as many people as possible in different facets that I care about, physical, spiritual, entrepreneurship, things of that sort, I needed time and money. So I made it a promise to myself to be able to work my butt off, and I still find myself working 80, 100-hour weeks. Very common consecutively, because like what we're doing right now, it's something that it's after hours of work, but I enjoy this because as long as you can get your voice out there, it's going to reach somebody.
Yeah.
So financial goals, it was that was not a number. So now the number that you're asking for, if you guys know the book, 10X by Grant Cardone. That was one that really opened my eyes. When I was young, I thought 400,000 was a magical number, and if you made 400,000, you were the richest person in the world. And you could
like
do
in a
anything.
year or just total?
In a year.
Okay,
in a year.
Okay.
If you could have $400,000 each year that you were making. Now, hey, we're not talking taxes here. Let's just call it $400,000 actual net earnings.
Yeah.
You could do literally anything you want, and that all goes back to whatever you consider relative to your life. 400,000 could make someone live their wildest dreams, but if you want a yacht, I don't care who you are, it's not going to buy you a multi-million dollar yacht. Is that something everybody needs? No. Is it a luxury that if you want, you need money? Yes. So I thought 400,000 when I read the book 10X. We all know the numbers with that one. So now 4 million each year is that would be a fantastic goal. And this goes back to what you said, Ben, is if I don't hit that, am I a sucker? No, but I like to set my sights on something so that I can work towards something. And as far as my life goal, money wise, if we're putting a number on it, and I told my wife this not too long ago, and she was like, "Go for it, baby," was $100 million, so a hectomillionaire.
So
that is something
lifetime or per year?
Lifetime goal.
Okay. I was gonna say, dude, but I know I believe in you that you can do it yearly.
I know people can do it when companies go public and so on and so forth, but just if I can have a net worth of $100 million, and this is where I got in a little tiff with a friend of mine that he said, "What in the world does anyone need $100 million for?" Bill Gates. Now I know he's a multi-billionaire. I'm not talking those numbers, but I'm using this as an example. He has the largest nonprofit in the world that has helped eradicate and is trying to eradicate diseases across the world. That is phenomenal. The only single possible way that he could have ever helped those amounts of millions and millions of people, the only way, period. I don't care who you are. Come and find me. It's impossible. It was with billions of dollars because he had the time to be able to do it.
It's true.
And he had the money.
Because when did he retire? And
I don't know.
I know it was like earlier than like the normal, and that's just what he's doing, with the Gates Foundation with him and his wife.
Yes, exactly.
It's like all they do.
It's all they do now. So as far as retired, I mean, I think probably when he became when he put a B after his name and became a billionaire, I think he was probably already done, but he still was working hard. So 100 million is just a goal that I've set my mind to. And the easiest thing, I don't know where I heard this from, but very often my answer when people say, "Why in the world?" Someone said it, and I'm probably saying it, but I'm just changing it. It was because I can. Not going religious again, and I know I've brought this up multiple times, but I do believe that we're on this earth that can accomplish incredible things. Yeah. And because I can, that would be an answer.
Because you want to reach your potential.
I want to reach my potential.
I was listening to, I was telling you earlier about Ben Shapiro's interview with Lewis Howes. Yes. And the question was asked, what's the best piece of advice or something you've ever heard? And it was, I think, from his 5th grade teacher or some teacher. And it's funny, or even 2nd grade, he was like 8 years old when he heard this and he still remembered it. It was something to the effect of, don't let potential read on your tombstone. Yeah. So essentially, right, to fulfill your potential because you can. Yep. Right. Why not really test your limits? Yeah. Again, it is our choice, so we can do what we want. Yes. But I really hope people can fulfill that potential. Yes. Because it feels good, dude.
It feels good to be uncomfortable. Just to go on a 20-second rant. I personally don't think you will ever accomplish your potential. And even if you don't know what your potential is, unless you're doing something uncomfortable, I don't think you'll ever reach it.
Preach, dude.
So
I love it.
I love to be uncomfortable in a good sense. Don't put yourself in danger. I'm just talking in a good sense of being uncomfortable. Something that you've never done before is the only way that I think you will ever find your potential and achieve your potential.
Yeah, and dude, I agree with everything you're saying. And with your friend or just anyone else, why do you think that I know why, that I've been told money is evil, or I perceived it as evil. So what are your thoughts on to dispel that? Why is money not evil, and why do people think that?
I personally don't believe in this lifetime of mine that belief will be disproven. But I do think for the people that need to hear it, will find the answer that they're looking for. Like the internet, you search whatever it is. I don't know how the saying goes, but you find what you're searching for. Yeah. And that is so true when it comes to money. It completely depends on how you were raised. I was raised once again with parents that did well. Yeah. They did it through the entrepreneurship realm in medical sales. So I was raised knowing that I saw how much good they did for other people. My mom being the most selfless, with all the money that they had made, spending $1 at McDonald's, she's like, but can we get it cheaper elsewhere? I mean, she's super, super frugal. So good thing that my dad married her, or all the money would be gone. He just spent it all.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Who's the author of the Harry Potter books again? J.K.
Rowling.
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
So I think, I'm not sure if this is accurate,
Sure.
just because I saw it on social media.
Sure.
But there was something that said that she used to be a billionaire, but then she donated so much money that she downgraded to a millionaire.
I could completely believe that just with how well Harry Potter as a franchise has done.
Yeah, but she downgraded because she gave so much money away
Sure.
that she went down to a millionaire.
You gotta respect that.
Like, if you do the math, I'm not smart enough to do it right now, but you think how much money, like if you have billions or just a billion,
mm-hmm.
how much money you have to spend.
It's mind-boggling. It really is.
You know, like it's a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as to answer the question, to go
mm-hmm.
back, I think as far as half of the world, when we look at it from a religious view,
mm-hmm.
In the Bible, no doubt it says the money. Well, what is it? I'm probably going to butcher now. You guys are going to laugh at me, but it's the money is the root of all, or
the root of all evil.
Sorry, the love of money is the root of all evil. It's the love. Yes. And that goes back to whatever it is that you want to accomplish. So if it's simply just to be able to get the riches of this world, just to make money, just to have money, I do think that that's a bad thing because it'll make someone amplify whoever they are. I don't know where I heard this, but this is probably the most true thing that I ever heard, in my opinion, is all money does is amplify who the person already is.
It's true.
So money will make a bad person worse and better.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as debunking the belief, I think you have to be able to see who you are and what your goal is on life and who you want to be able to help out. And it goes back to what I think I said is time and money.
Yeah.
And if you don't have either, you're only going to be helping yourself, and you might even be degrading slowly if you're not having either. Because I don't think we were put on this world just to help ourselves. I think we were here on this world to be able to help as many single people as possible until the day you die.
Yeah. Well, and it's like it can be used for good, but it even goes into comparisons. Like if we start comparing ourselves, dude, even when you net 100 million, they're still billionaires.
There's always someone more.
There's 101 millionaire,
yeah.
And it's all like, it goes back to relative. You can live on any means. I mean, you can live on 30, 40K or 80 or whatever.
Yep.
But it's what type of lifestyle and what do you want to do? Because if you have massive amounts of money, you can do tons of good. And dude, it just releases a lot of stress.
It does.
Too,
Yeah. I mean, you can do good without money, no doubt. I'm not like pointing out any individuals, but some people that have dedicated their life to said religion or something of that sort where they don't care about money, you can still help tons and tons of people out. It's just the way you want to help people out. Do I want to be a dentist? At one point I thought I did. No, I don't at all anymore.
Yeah.
But without dentists, our teeth wouldn't be helped out. So it depends on how you want to help people out. You have to help people out in different ways. So when you see people helping someone out in a different way than you believe set, that person that's receiving the help wants that help in that way.
Yeah.
Most likely. That. So you have to help people out in the way that they want. And without telling people what you want, or without other people telling what they're wanting, you can't help them out in the right direction. You might help them, but it might be down a wrong rabbit hole. And you got to be able to make sure that you're helping them the way that they need help, the way that you want to give help, with the time and money that you want.
Well, I like that because we all play a part in a whole.
Yes.
And we all do different things.
Completely.
Okay, I love it, dude. So you mentioned how you grew up, and your dad and parents were entrepreneurs. What was your first business? What was your first taste of you trying your own business?
I think I had a couple here and there that I wouldn't call completely legitimate, because it was more so just having fun. As far as actually making it legit with the state, would be a window washing business that I started with my friend Braden Murdoch. Look up to that guy. Once again, he's the one that's going into medical school. I think he has the brains to be able to do something that I could never accomplish because of the way he wants to help people, because of the time and the money that he wants to be able to put towards this earth. Once again, so that's something that I would have never been able to do. But we did a window washing business, and it was super, super fun to not only give people beautiful windows that we would call like the eyes of their house, and it would really brighten it up. I'm sure we could go into the marketing and how we grew it. That was fun.
Yeah.
But I loved seeing I loved with all my heart being able to go to the person that we just watched the house for, and they say, here's a tip. And for me to be able to give the tip to the employees because it was their work that they did. So to be able to help the employees out, I thought that was just so fun. So when I see companies like the company my wife works for, it's a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and the stuff that they put back into the employees, I love that so much when a company is helping their employees out and they have a community within it. I think that is just so fun. So when we started our own business, that was one thing that we were really big on, and giving incentives and things of that sort. I thought it's really fun. Also, I think growing something from nothing is one of the most exhilarating things ever. And
I agree.
You can only do that in my mind, within business, you can do that with an entrepreneurship. And I think that is so fun.
So I want you to tell the story about when you and your wife shortly married in the, Latter-day Saint religion, that you usually give a talk in church about, so tell us just this quick story, because I love it. I think it's a good lesson for me, and even like my theme of for myself this year is to be bold.
Sure. Okay.
And so what is the story?
Well, for those that don't know, the church that he was just referring to, just to make sure, it was the Church of Latter-day Saints. Well, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the full name of the church. People refer to them as the Mormons. When you're in that church, very common that the congregations, people that are within it, before the meeting happens, you are asked to give a talk, and you go up on stage. You're not getting paid for this. This is all volunteer work, and you go up and you're in essence preaching 100%, because if you're following the Spirit, whatever that you deem quote unquote the Spirit, you talk to the congregation. Very common, and this is where being bold, I think goes hand in hand kind of with pet peeves, because it's like you got to be bold on what you believe. That means you have pet peeves elsewhere. One of my pet peeves is going to church, and this is probably true in other churches as well, but I don't know, so I'm not going to speak on them.
Yeah.
But you go there and you just hear the very basic topics, which basic, like faith, service, charity, things like that, they're fundamental and they will always be there. But when someone brings them up and
nothing blows your mind.
But nothing blows my mind while I'm talking about it. I start zoning out. I look over and I see people playing phone games. I see kids not paying attention, which sure, kids that are too young, they can't even pay attention anyway, so that's fine. But as far as adults and teenagers and young adults that just don't even care what's going on because they've heard it a million times, it's like, why are you there? You're not supposed to be doing what you're doing, which is listening or feeling the Spirit or learning. So when I got married, shortly after I got married, I told my wife that me being a bold individual. Yeah. So I love that your mantra this year is being bold, be bold. I told my wife that when I speak in church, you might be a little surprised, because my goal, and I don't mean this in a negative way, I'll explain. So hear me out after this. Don't just pause it. If I don't offend someone, I didn't speak correctly in a large group of people. Even that goes back to talking with one person. If I don't offend them or I don't wow them, I feel like I didn't do my job. And what I mean by that is I am not going up on stage and saying things that I know or I hope intentionally hurt someone. I just know that if I'm not being bold enough in what I believe in and put it across in a way that people will go, oh my gosh, have an aha moment, have their jaw like completely dropped, like I've never thought about it this way, and open their mind up, I don't feel like I'm doing my duty as a person, because this is something that I would be bold and say, any listener, anyone that is somehow utilizing this information right now, the only people that you look up to in this world, whether they be financial, spiritual, business, whatever that may be, they were bold enough to be able to make you pay attention to them and respect them. They were not little negative Nancy. They were not a little, a passive Paul, I guess, if I'm going passive Paul. I just made that one up. That's someone, they're not someone that was just cruising through life. They were someone that was so bold that you hated them for it or you loved them for it. Yeah. That is something that to the day I die, I hope that when I speak in front of groups of people, I wow every single person, or I upset some people, or I upset all of them. Because if I'm passive and someone didn't get anything out of it, I did not do my job in taking a stance bold enough.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, I love that story. And I believe you had people come up to you, right? Of both. Yes, you had people who loved it and hate it.
I had most people came up and said, I loved what you just talked about. Yeah. That is something I've never thought about that way. I appreciate it. But there were people that you could see the look on their face. I had people that even came up and just kind of said, I'm not a big fan of how you put it that way. And I said, that's totally fine. Yeah, like, that's okay. Just how I believe in it. That's okay. Yeah. Like, I hope you have your own view, and I'd love to hear it someday.
Yeah, dude, I love that story. I think it's a good lesson. Like, if you're not willing to be critiqued or hated on or judged, then don't do anything interesting or new. Like,
So I love that yours is bold. Be bold, because that is something that every single person listening to this should go and do something bold today. I would love that as a challenge. Like, dude, I would love that, however that may be.
Okay, I'll think of something to be bold. All right, so we've come to a segment in the show where I call Scroll My Soul, and what that, yeah, that's right. And what it means is I write down on my phone, there's, in the notes app, I keep a list of what I'm reading or listening to or conversations, what inspires me. And then I randomly go through and I select something for each guest. And so what I have for you, this goes into false beliefs a little bit.
Sure.
We often decide what will happen, or we often decide the outcome before it even happens to us in relation to preconceived possibility. So I just want to know how you relate to that. Like, what does that mean to you as far as we often decide what's already like occurred before it even happens to us?
I have plenty to say on this because one of my mentors his name is Bob Cattell, a phenomenal public speaker that speaks with Tony Robbins and all those types of individuals. He speaks a lot on memory. He speaks a lot on depression, but he is a very I love mentors that don't have the total views as you do, because I love goal setting and he is totally against it. That's one of the reasons why we have him as a mentor, because he has such a different view and perspective on life. But say the quote again, and then I'm going to go right into my story.
We often decide what will happen or what occurs before it even happens to us.
Okay, so Bob Cattell always says, so what do you say if you're mad? Think of something that makes you mad right now, whatever you're listening to, or with listening to this. Think of something that makes you mad, someone that just like upset you the other day, stubbed your toe, whatever that may be, right? Okay, not stubbed your toe, something that's like bugging you. Yeah. Think about that, and then Bob, he'd look at you right in your eyes and say, so are you mad? And then he'd say, oh, but because this person did this, and like, this is how I'm feeling, or this is what I think is going to happen, or, and then he goes, so why are you mad? Is that in the future? And then usually a lot of the times the notions of what you're feeling are things that you're thinking about in the future. And he says, it's not real. The future hasn't happened yet.
Yes.
And then if it's something in the past, he's like, it's already happened. Why are you dwelling on that? And he says, be in the present. So he always brings it back to the present, which is what I love. And that's why he's not big on goal setting, is because he's like, why look into the future? Just act as you are during the day. Let doors that open to you, just go through those doors, and it'll lead you to new opportunities, and keep going. Anyway, his whole notion is, if it's in the past, if it's in the future, don't let it bother you, because the future being the main one, that is hands down the one I'm wanting to talk about, is it hasn't happened yet. So you're creating a story in your mind that hasn't happened yet, and you are living it as if it already has. Yes. And it's destroying your life. So that's what I have to say about that, because Boom. I love what Bob Cattell said on that.
Okay, dude. That's dope. Thank you. Before we close, I want to know, we've talked a lot about your success and how you're just a killer dude. And,
thank you.
But really, I want to know, like, what challenges you?
How so? Is that an open-ended, or is it
It's
specific?
Open, dude. Like, it could be something today. It could be something in life. It could be something last year.
I'll bring it back to what I was saying earlier, is that one of my friends, they kind of, me and my friend did not agree on what we were talking on. It was finances and how much we want to make and what we want to do with it. One of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life was when I decided that I wanted to be well off, that I wanted to be able to help as many people as possible. Once again, going back to the money, that it's not the love or the love of the money. It's, I love what it can do. I love the freedom that it gives. Probably the hardest thing, and still to this day, the hardest thing, is giving up on friends. I mean, I might even,
dude, this is good,
get a little emotional while talking about this. I love my friends with all my heart, and if they're on my good side, they've helped me out, and they're someone that I love, I feel like I would do any single thing possible in my power to be able to help them out, be successful, get out of a rut. So when this friend just recently did not believe in where I was going and how I wanted to be able to be successful, it really, really hurt, because I've known this friend for over a decade, and it was really hard to kind of just say in my mind. I even told it to my wife, I'm done. I'm not reaching out to them anymore.
Really?
I can't let that negativity in my life because I know it will slow me down. I know he'll help out a lot of people through his life, but it's not, you only have 24 hours a day. You can't help everybody out. It's impossible. Impossible. You have to choose who you want to help out.
Yeah.
Impossible. So, but even growing up, like when I read The Secret and things like that, going through church and some of the things that it would teach me, my parents taught me, I always had the whole thing of it's impossible to help everybody, and you got to choose who you want to surround yourself with. So when I chose to be successful, whatever that I deem successful in my mind, I had to get rid of friends that were not going places in my mind where I wanted to go. Yes, they're going places of their own, but not where I wanted to go. And I had to cut that off. It was still to this day, and still is the hardest thing in my opinion that I have to do, is when I have to let go of relationships, because I hold relationships dear, very, very dear to my heart. Anyone that I ever build a relationship, I like to nurture a relationship before I would ever ask of anything. And I will always do that. So when I have to let go of friendships, it really hurts me.
Dude, I think that's, yeah.
But I know I can't reach my potential unless I give up on them. Sorry, not give up on them, just not focus on them. If they ever came reaching out for help, sure. But
that's powerful. And I think it is not easy, but anything that's worth it, isn't easy.
Yes.
And I think that's cool that you have the wherewithal, like the vision to know that the people you do want to be surrounded by. Yeah. That's powerful, dude. I can see why that's difficult.
That's really tough.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that, man. Thanks for being authentic. All right, dude. So we're going to wrap it up. Do you have any last advice or tips, like for anybody, whether it's entrepreneurs, just people, or future kids, because it's recorded?
Future kids, yeah. Any advice? Find someone that shares your same beliefs. And this goes right back to what is the hardest for me is the most important. And that's why, my wife is the most important thing to me in this world, because it's the most deep relationship that I have.
Yeah.
So it could hurt me the most. It could help me the most. Dude. Go find someone. And I'm not just bringing this to marriage. I'm bringing this as a friendship, a life lesson. Surround yourself with people that have the same vision as you. If you don't have that vision yet, that could take a lot. It could take a very, very long time. I don't have a simple answer on how to get your vision, but I would ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing as many times as you possibly can until you can't answer that anymore. That would be one tactic that I would say. But surround yourself with people that share your same vision, and disregard the people that don't share your same vision. I'm not saying cast them aside. I'm not saying intentionally hurt them. I'm saying simply surround yourself with ones that do have your intentions. That would be to the end of my life. I'd love for people to be able to do that.
That is awesome. Brian, thank you. I learned some things. This is really cool. You gave me some things to think about. Thanks for allowing me in your home with your wife and cat. It's been a privilege. So thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And for people checking you out, where should they Google?
Or Google? Well, yeah. Where should they search? For Amplified Minds? No doubt, amplifiedminds.com.
Yeah.
I just bought my own domain the other day
for your name.
BrianHubbard.net.
Okay, good.
.com was already taken, so I don't know who has it. There's nothing there. But BrianHubbard.net, I want to be able to create that so that people can search me. But I will gladly give out my contact info just right now. Not my personal cell, but I'll gladly give out my email. So just reach out to Brian at amplifiedminds.com. That no doubt is my business one. If you want a personal one, I'm more than happy to give that, which is Brian with an I, BRIAN .Hubbard 1990@gmail.com. You can only guess what year I was born, right? So that's that. And my inbox every single night is 0. I reply to all of them. That is a goal that I've set for myself, is to go to bed with all conversations open and closed. Whether they be just, hey, I'll get back to you tomorrow. I promise I'll get back to you if you reach out.
Okay. Dude, you're the man. Thank you very much. All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Brian as much as I did. This week's challenge is inspired by Jaybird. Check him out at Jaybird Sport. We want you to be bold and power your passion. Have you been focused in a people-pleasing state? Not doing what you want to do. Let's be bold this week. Do something that is not just out of your comfort zone, but something that might make people dislike you a little bit. But it's something that you want and that you've been waiting to do. For example, for me, just being honest, whether it's at work or in my personal life, like finding those values and not veering from those values, being bold, being consistent, and holding strong to those values. So find what those values are and be bold. I would love to hear how you are bold this week. So once you do that, you can let us know how you completed this challenge. You can post on Facebook or Instagram using hashtag Goalink Challenge, send us a private message, tag us in your stories, or use the Goalink hotline. To use the hotline, call 385-626-0525 and follow the instructions. Follow us at Goalink Group. My name is Ben. I love you, and this is The Goalink Show.